There's a massive silent revolution happening in global finance right at this very moment. Seriously, it's not making the front page news, but it's completely redesigning how money moves across the entire planet. And the scale of it, well, it's just gigantic.
So, what is this revolution all about? Well, we're going to break down exactly how a new global standard, something called ISO 2022, is creating the absolute perfect conditions for technologies like Ripple and, by extension, its digital asset, XRP. And to really get why this matters so much, you first have to understand the sheer scale of what's being changed. I mean, just look at this number. The cross-border payments market moves over $156 trillion a year. Let that sink in. And that entire, mind-bogglingly huge system is being rebuilt from the ground up.
And look, I know that sounds like an exaggeration, but it's really not. This is, without a doubt, the biggest upgrade to the world's financial plumbing since the SWIFT system was first created way back in 1973. And it's all happening right now.
So what is this change exactly? Well, at its very core is a new, universal language for money. Think of it less like a new piece of tech and more like a global dictionary, one that's designed to make every single financial system on Earth speak the exact same language for the very first time.
In essence, ISO 2022 is a new way for banks and financial institutions to talk to each other. Instead of the old messages, which were, short, kind of cryptic, like an old-school telegram, they can now send these rich, detailed, super-structured packages of data along with every single transaction. It's a total upgrade.
This really captures the massive leap we're taking. The old system, it was like a muddy dirt road. It was slow, it was inefficient, and it needed constant manual work, which of course led to all sorts of errors and delays. The new standard, it's a true data highway. It's clean, it's structured, and it's built for full automation, letting financial systems talk to each other instantly without any human error.
And this isn't some far-off theory about the future. It is happening now. As you can see right here, the official switch started in 2023 for huge players like SWIFT and Fedwire. But by 2025, it becomes mandatory. It's required for the world's most important financial infrastructures. There is literally no turning back.
Okay, so this is where the story gets really interesting. Right in the middle of this massive global upgrade, there's a technology that seems almost tailor-made for this exact moment. Let's talk about RippleNet and why it has such a clear advantage here.
So, the most crucial point to get is this. RippleNet doesn't need some clunky adapter. It was built from day one to handle this kind of rich, structured data. Its technology, its APIs, the whole system naturally speaks the new language of ISO 22022.
Now, for a bank, this is an absolute game changer. It means hooking up with RippleNet stops being this super expensive, complex, months-long project and becomes something way simpler and more standardized. It just removes a massive headache for them.
Okay, so if RippleNet is basically a perfect fit for this new world, what does that mean for its digital asset, XRP? Well, this is where a really interesting domino effect starts to happen. Now listen up, because this next point is absolutely crucial. The ISO 2202 standard does not directly involve XRP. I'll say it again, it's not a direct boost. Instead, the benefit is indirect, but it is incredibly powerful. It all flows through Ripple's payment network, RippleNet. So let's break down this chain reaction step by step, because this is the key to the whole thing. First, ISO 2022 makes it so much easier for banks to plug in a RippleNet. Okay, simple enough. Second, once they're inside the network, it's a much smaller leap for them to start using the on-demand liquidity service, or ODL. Third, this ODL service is what uses XRP as a neutral bridge asset. So instead of banks needing to park huge piles of cash all over the world, they can just use XRP to move value between any two currencies, instantly. And that leads to step 4, the final result. The more banks use ODL, the more operational demand there is for the XRP asset. See? One thing just naturally leads to the next.
All right, so let's zoom out for a second and look at the final picture. What does all of this really mean when we put all the pieces together?
Well, what's really fascinating is that the very first institutions jumping on board with ISO 20022, we're talking major global players like Santander and SBI Group, are the ideal users for Ripple's model. And it's probably no coincidence that a lot of them are already Ripple partners.
This is honestly the perfect way to think about it. ISO 2022 isn't changing what XRP is. What it's doing is building the perfect environment for a technology like that to thrive. The global financial highways are being paved right now, and XRP is designed to be one of the fastest vehicles on those new roads.
So, to wrap this all up with the most important takeaways, for banks, plugging into RippleNet just got a whole lot simpler. For regulators, they get to oversee a network with incredibly clear, transparent data, which they absolutely love. And as a direct result of all this, the functional demand, the actual utility for XRP goes up.
So, we're left with this. We have a mandatory, once-in-a-generation upgrade to the entire world's financial plumbing. It's happening. The old pipes are being ripped out and replaced with modern data highways. So the question isn't if there will be winners in this shift, but who is best positioned to lead this new era that has already begun.